Okay, so in the decentralized economy requires that every single person is a participant, and one of the ways that you can be part of those who earn part of whatever comes off the network is through staking. So staking is you contributing to either a validation process if you have the resources, time, technical knowledge, and the necessary minimum. Or if you don't have this, you can get another set of minimum that you can delegate to a staker. As we will see in the next slide, that proof of work, which is the algorithm that BTC uses, though it is good computational wise, it is secure, but there are concerns. So there is a lot of debates right now if the pros outweighs the cons. The pros is that it is very, very hard to override the chain, in the sense that you have to get a lot of over 50% of computational power of the whole entire network, which is almost impossible. But the another question now is, first, another disadvantage is that of resource intensiveness. Gone are the days where you could mine BTC with your normal everyday PC. Now you have to use a lot of resources, and then there's environmental concerns. And another thing again is there's no skin in the game, so there is this incentive, because all you just have is hash power. So unlike, let's say for example you are staking 32 ETH, your stake is locked somewhere, meaning even if you get rewards, you can only maybe say your rewards and your 32 ETH is staked. But for mining hash power, the hash power is there. You can use the hash power for maybe as long as 1, 2, 3, 4 years, and then all the profits you get to sell. So we'll see as in the next slide what constitutes staking, how validators are selected and all that. So who are validators? Validators are what replaces miners. So the miners, they raise to, everybody's raising to produce the solution to the puzzle. But in this case, we have validators. So validators are selected based on certain criteria. One of them is the staked amount. So how much? There's a bare minimum. Let's say for example, in hours, we have the minimum 2,000 hours. Now, you can stake 2,000, or you can stake more than 2,000. So if two people, this is Alice, this is Bob. Alice staked the minimum 2,000 today. Bob staked plus 2,000. Bob has more edge over Alice, even though they staked the same time, because the staked amount is more. So the more amount you stake in the network, it means that you believe the network are more in the long term than someone else. Now that thing again is the staking age. So how long have you been staking? So if Alice staked 2,000, the same amount today, then Bob staked another amount, maybe 2,000 also today. If Bob decides to leave the network for some time and then come back, he is no more the same with Alice, because Alice has been from, so if you look at the time they've spent in the network so far, it's been more than Bob. Then that thing again is the reputation. So how has Alice or Bob behaved in the network after some time? Have they re-uptime? Have they acted in a way that is bad or good for the network? So all this, a kind of credit score to reputation score, they also have it. Then there is a random algorithm that just picks blocks in picks validators in random. So there's a kind of verifiable random function that it cannot be, just like you go to, what will I say, a casino, or you are trying to play the lottery. You don't know if you would be the one that will be chosen as the winner and all that. So as we can see in the next slide, that things get pretty risky with staking. So there are some risk. It's not just okay, it's energy efficient and all that. No, there are some risk. One of the risk is the lockup period. So let's say for example you lock up your tokens for things like hours, there are days, number of days, as we say, things like Cosmos. Alright, another challenge is this technical challenge. Not every single person have that technical know-how to set up or run a validator. And if you don't have that technical know-how and you set up a validator stake, you will lose your stake, because people will be like, why is your network not up and running? And you cannot say, hey, I don't know. It's that no. You will lose your stake. Your stake could be slashed. And there's a reward durations. And they paying the rewards immediately and all that. And for bad behavior, your way rewards could be slashed. And another thing is you have to consider taxes. You could be taxed for involving in staking and all that. So then in the next slide, we'll talk about what are some of the rewards. So you can get, like in mining, you get new coins that are issued. Then you get part of the transaction fees also. So different networks have different designs. Some of them, so network bond the transaction fees, and then they issue you new coins. Another thing again with airdrops, with rewards, is that you can get airdrops. So we'll see that. We'll see more of it in the last slide. So another way to go about this is through exchange staking. So maybe you do this one has a lot of things. First, it's easy to use. There's minimum amount. So let's take, for example, rather than you have 32 Ether, you can stake any amount of Ether, 0.1 Ether. You can claim your token. You can decide to unstake anytime. You can decide to claim your token rewards. You pay a commission fee. Another thing again, it's not your keys, not your crypto, meaning if anything happens, maybe there is regulation or there's a government policy or whatsoever, anything between you and the exchange, you may lose access to those stuff. Then another thing again is that you may miss airdrops. So what actually happened, was it 2021, that was last year. I was taking Cosmos, but I was taking it on an exchange. So when they did a snapshot, I was not eligible for airdrops like Osmosis, Juno, and all that. So that is one thing, you may miss airdrops, because one of the reasons why you will miss it, if the token, the platform, because you don't control the keys. So let's say, for example, on Cosmos, they do maybe like 5 airdrops in a month, 10 airdrops in a month. So because you don't control the keys, who is the exchange going to give the tokens to? So because if the exchange gives you tokens, you will have to they will have to list the tokens. And so there's another thing. So there is another ways, as we'll see in the next slide, or how you can also go about tokens. So you can use validators that allow a minimum amount, and there's no technical overhaul. And there are many of them like Figment, Nokia Capital, Chorus, and you get to pay commission fees. And one of the things you should research them before buying. Research like user review. What are the users saying about them? Are there any good or bad comments, feedbacks? What are the customer supports, like if you have run into an issue, maybe you're not paying your rewards or whatever, how is it like? So because you are like committing your tokens to people, so you should research these things carefully, even as we see in the next slide, that things have to be put in perspective. So we'll talk about some of the staking crypto, and one of them is Advance. So Avalanche, there's a minimum of 25 hours that you can actually use and then stake. So 25 is the minimum, and then this is the like 9%, and there's a 40-day lockup period that uses the Avalanche consensus, and we'll basically know a little bit about this Avas. So
Yeah,
um
yeah, I've used Avax. I've taken Avax, and in Avax you get reward for staking, and I don't know if staking also qualifies you for their airdrops. I don't really know of that, but
No,
for
airdrops are basically staking does not qualify you for airdrops. It's just that airdrops are, um, airdrops. There are people in this space who will become entitled. They are like, why did I not receive an airdrop? Airdrop is like a gift. So I can decide to give a gift to somebody depending on any criteria. So let's say, for example, I can decide to give a gift to somebody and say, because you did X, maybe you were holding a particular coin, or you staked, or there are airdrops that have been like because you voted on a particular proposal, or because even people, they can even give airdrops because let's say you tweeted something. So, or even they can just do random airdrops. So when platforms give airdrops on Cosmos, it's just like a community, it's just a way for them to reward their community and all that. So then another thing again about Avas is that you can set up the minimum lockup period. So you can decide to say you are staking your tokens, and you say you want to stake them for 1 year period. So when you're staking, of which we will see how to stake, when we are creating how to stake Avalanche videos, you'll see that you can set, okay, I want to stake it for X amount of time, I want to stake it for Y amount of time, right? Or that, even as we'll see in another, so you can use the Avalanche wallet, and we'll see the next token you can stake in the next slide, which is very, very good Atom, of which we're talking about. There's possible airdrops. There is 15% APY. There's no minimum. There's lockup period, and all that. Now, when you are about to stake tokens, there is something to consider. One of them is this APR. The APR, is it from inflation? So there are tokens that have a maximum, like if we go to CoinGecko, there are tokens that have a maximum supply, while there are others that you basically, so something like Avas, so for Avas there is a supply that is 720 million of it. Now they're not going to issue more, so there is already a part of it that is assigned and say, okay, this is what we are assigning to pay those who validated the network. So let's take for example like BTC, like BTC for example, there's this 21 million BTC that will ever exist. So every 4 years there's something called half invaded, half the block rewards and all that. So you want to ask if the protocol is doing inflation. So let's take for example a protocol has 100 million tokens in the first year, and then the protocol does 10% inflation after 1 year to give rewards. So that means the next year the token supply is going to be 110 million, right?
yeah,
So if the token in the second year does another 10% of 110 million is around like 11 million. So you're talking about 11 million plus 120 million. So in the second year you're talking about 121 million. So by the time you do it year in year out, those who are holding tokens, most of the times the value of the token gets diluted. So you want to look at those kind of tokens, if they are the ones that either inflationary or deflationary. Okay, if it's even inflationary, you want to ask questions like, are they burning the tokens? Because if tokens are just being pushed into the system, it becomes very, very bad. So as we'll see in the next slide, Cardano, there is no minimum, there is no lockup period, 5% APR. You can use it to do lots of it. And then they have this thing called initial stake pool offerings, where you can stake with, get some offerings by staking with pools. We'll go more in depth when we talk about Cardano staking. The next slide, we'll talk about liquid staking. So liquid staking, of which we'll end the video here, is a kind of system where before now we'll talk about lockup periods and all that. If you stake your token, for example, and that's all you have, and there is an opportunity you want to leverage, it becomes very hard, because you have to, even if you unlock it, to take you 20, the minimum days, some take like 20 days, some 21 days, and all that. But liquid staking gives you a staking derivative where it's like so this is your staked tokens. Then they now come and give you something and say, okay, this one is the liquid derivatives, so that whenever you can present this, we will give you back your tokens. So meaning that you can do anything with this thing. You can borrow against it, you can sell it if you want, you can do all manner of things with it. So that is liquid staking. So we hope this video has given you an overview of the staking economy, and you should be involved. When you have tokens, maybe you invest in early one tokens and the rest of them, don't just keep them in cold wallets, stake them so that you can actually earn rewards. So thank you very much for joining us as a guest. Okay, before we end, do you have any comments on staking? Which tokens are you staking? Have you staked before? Have you staked tokens and you got airdrops? Do you have any criticism for the staking? I know that.
Okay. I believe when it comes to staking, there are some things you have to consider. One is the risk.
I can't really hear you loud. Is something wrong with your audio?
I said, when you are staking,
Okay.
there are some things you have to consider, and one of them is the risk factor of it.
Your voice is low.
What I mean by, if you are staking, there are things you're supposed to consider.
Okay.
There are things you are supposed to consider. One of them is the risk of devaluation, because you might decide to stake a token. Maybe it's value about $10, or let's say $1,000, and before the period of time of staking, the thing got devalued. There's no way you can pull out and swap to USDT for safety. But if everything will just go down, maybe that project will not come up again. You just find that you lost everything, you lost your money and the rest. So that's one risk, because your money is be tied down, and it's not the actual value. It's not like you stake USDT. So it's either a rise or it comes down. That's for the negative part. But there are times whereby it has positive impact, in the sense that when that current token begin to add value, you gain also, because you might have the fear of selling it off by then. But when you stake it, it will take you time before you be able to get back your token. It will even discourage you to get the token back, and maybe like you stake a token, because I stake a token for almost a year. Maybe you stake a token for a year, and maybe the time of panic of the market, you would have sold the token, but due to the fact that you stake it, then you find out that within that period of time, the thing has gone up. Maybe they have done it times 10 and times 20. So you just be happy, say, thank God I stake it, those stuff. So that is the aspect of that risk part of it. So let's go to